Oh, hello. I'm sorry I haven't made a video in a while, but I lost interest. Well, I lost interest in the camera then, didn't I? Oh well, I decided to talk about a game this time. As you know, since I'm a big fan of Metal Gear, okay, maybe you didn't know that because I've never really mentioned it, I'm really looking forward to Phantom Pain coming out soon-ish. Probably next year. Anyway, today I'm reviewing a lesser praised and lesser sung version of the addition to the Metal Gear series, Metal Gear Acid. Ooh. So anyway, yes, I own a PSP, yes, I play Metal Gear Acid, and well, this is me talking about it. The whole plot is basically, there are several people on a plane but gets attacked by a noxious gas produced by two dolls. Okay. Anyway, they're asking for something called Pythagoras from the US, except it's not owned by the US, it's owned by the South Africans. No comment. Anyway, unlike the doll, so Roy Campbell is called in but can't do it because he's a good father. I mean, true, this takes place 2 years after MGS4, but it was written before MGS4. I'm confused already. So a new person named Roger McCoy is put in charge. And then a Snake who's possibly Solid Snake but possibly not Solid Snake, I don't know. Is called in to do the mission. Along the way he bumps into two. Also he's helped up by a psychic named Alice. Although unlike Psycho Mantis, instead of reading your game data, telling you which games you played, how often you saved or whatnot, she just tells you where to go. So anyway, later Snake bumps into two allies, Gary Murray and Tellico Freeman. Meanwhile, they're being hunted down by a guy named Leon. No Resident Evil 4 jokes. He's basically a big man that wields a giant assault rifle, wields a giant anti-personnel rifle, and can pretty much be defeated in a similar way to Vulcan Raven. So anyway, the main gimmick in this game is, instead of being an average stealth game or a hack and slash like Rising Revengeance, instead it's a card-based, turn-based battle game. Oh. True, it can be quite fun, especially playing off attacks, but the enemies get quite annoying and quite hard. Plus the whole fact that you literally have to wait your turn all the time. So eventually you then find out that Gary Murray is actually, spoiler alert for the rest of the game by the way, one of the people that made this responsible for the new Metal Gear. Oh, did I mention there was Metal Gear involved? Well, it's from Metal Gear, so that's a given, I guess. And there were two people working on it, called Hans Davis and William Fleming. And it turns out Gary Murray is William Fleming. But where's Hans Davis? Well, Gary, aka Fleming, tells Snake that Snake is Hans Davis. Dun dun dun! What? Oh, sorry, lost track there. Anyway, it says that he is Hans Davis with an altered mindset to think he's the legendary Snake. But then gets shot by Teleco. It tells him it doesn't really matter because he's a good guy now. So anyway, then they go and cry across a bridge. But then Teleco actually shot Snake. But it turns out Teleco is not Teleco. She's a spy for the bad guys named Le Clown. It is Le Clown. Anyway, who is a master of disguise? In other words, basically Decoy Octopus. Except, I think this one's a girl. Anyway, you go after the clown, and after going through a weird scenario of block-based puzzles with soldiers wearing different colours, and Snake having hallucinations of arguing with the Hans Davis version of himself. You go into a giant board game when you're forced to fight the real Teleco. Freeman, I'm not kidding, there is an actual board game. And it's as frustrating as hell, since the fact that you have to run around, there are invisible mines, power-ups and de-power-ups all over the place, making this fight really, really hard or stupidly easy. Anyway, then you head off and you team up with Leon or Leon or whatever his name is. And anyway, as I was saying, then they have to go off and try and infiltrate the area where Metal Gear is being stored. But first they have to activate the power-up, which means the security situation, which means going inside the power building, except it turns out it didn't deactivate it because of auxiliary power and that they were expecting them. Anyway, so you have to go through the power at the same place again, but backwards when in the dark so you can't see the enemies. And they go through some underground passages. Once they bump into Leon again, who's been mind-wiped by some virus they briefly talked about. And it's pretty much the same as the previous fight, only a few more soldiers, and he keeps rambling about pansies. I'm not making this shit up. In fact, I'm depressed that I lack the talent to make this shit up. Anyway, then after going through another few more things, you fight the clown, aka Swallowtail, which is the only fight I really liked in this game. Because she pretends to be one of your allies, so you have to find which one's her, then shoot her down while she creates some duplicates of herself. Why do I have to feeling that this is how the fight against Decoy Octopus would have been if he hadn't died in the first few minutes of the game, and you only find out later that it was him. And even though he was one of the characters that was in the brochure and one of the ones they tried to pick up, and god damn it! Anyway, after a few more backtracking, there's a few more mentions of a character mentioned throughout the thing behind the whole incident called Number 16. It's her. Then you are forced to fight the Metal Gear while Alice is helping a girl on the plane called Minette get through it and try to deactivate a bomb. Yeah. So you fight the new Metal Gear, which turns out to be Pythagoras or whatever it was, which is the new Metal Gear is also known as Metal Gear Kodok. So one of you tries to deactivate it from inside, the other person tries to deactivate it from outside. It's a bit annoying, especially when in the second phase when it used that giant BFG laser attack. So after you destroy it and kill Fleming, it turns out that all this time, Number 16, who was part of some sort of soldier training program / mass murder, was in fact Alice. What? Yeah, it turns out Alice is Number 16, but is also not Number 16, and basically she says that she has the mind of Number 16, but the body is of another agent, Number 214, aka Alice. Turns out she possessed Alice's body in the training regime that Fleming and Hans were running, by the way. That she's been manipulating you all this time. And it turns out Snake is not Hans Davis. And that she just used mind tricks and her psychic powers, which she may or may not have, to make Snake think he's Hans Davis. Then she said, calls Snake a hero, and then dies of Fox Die, or similar effects to Fox Die. Harry leaves some sort of brain overload, but let's just say it's Fox Die, because that's usually the thing that kills, is that the usual answer for if anyone dies. Kennedy, what? Kennedy was shot by a bullet? No, Kennedy was taken down by Fox Die. I can't believe today Kojima hasn't actually used that idea. Anyway, it turns out that she was controlling two people, and that the person behind those two puppets on the plane was one of the people that was on the plane. More specifically, the president's assistant. Did I mention some president or government official or whatever was on the plane? But it turns out Minette is actually not Minette. She is the daughter or niece of William Fleming, and is also Alice, or rather the mind of Alice that escaped the body of Alice, which is now owned by Number 16. So Alice was accidentally helping Number 214. You may be wondering, how the hell does this work? I don't know. Let's just say it was Nanomachine, son. Anyway, Also, and then Minette, aka Alice, aka number 214, kills the woman that was behind the doll incident, and then Snape and Telco talk about some things that go hiking or whatnot, how crazy the adventure was. And whatnot, and that's the end. So now I've talked about the game, a brief summary on the gameplay mechanics. They're quite awkward, quite annoying at times, but playable. Plus some of the gameplay mechanics were fixed in the sequel. Yes, this game had a sequel, Metal Gear Acid 2. But I can't talk about that game because I haven't finished it. God damn Metal Gear blah, 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 blah. Anyway, with all that aside, I hope you enjoyed this video somewhat, and hopefully it doesn't seem too rushed. Right, I've got new games to play, new stuff to do. Bye bye.